have a big problem with the Briar community right now, and let me just tell you, it's because of all these high damage builds like Kraken and Bork running around that people are actually disrespecting the GOAT. The GOAT, your day one, your OG, Titanic Hydra. No, but seriously, Titanic Hydra's win rate's down like 1%, and people are like, yo, is it dead? Is Titanic Hydra Kingdom dead? And it's like, no, guys, it's completely fine. So let me make a guide on how to get the most out of this item, because this will always be one of the most important strategies for Briar players to know and to be able to pull off. One of my biggest problems is that people think it's a lot more simple than it is. So let me learn you a little bit, because there's a lot you probably don't know. Now, a lot of this will feel like information overload, because there's so much going on in a Titanic game that it's just kind of assumed. And that's where my biggest problem is people like think that they're a lot better at this build than what they actually are. And a lot of it starts with playing with intention. Now let's talk about intention. We intentionally chose these runes. Why? PTA, auto attack reset combos, right? You get an extra button that can help you proc PTA when you're in a pinch and you don't have every cooldown, which is a consistency thing. That matters. Now, consistently, you want to live from fights as Briar, because that's kind of how she works. You need to stay ahead or even to work, so Triumph works for that. Legend Haste, right? More cooldowns, more combos, everything ties together. And then Last Stand, you know, it just gives you that extra bit of pushing power when you're running out of damage and you're low to make sure that your Triumph works out. This one, all of that last bottom row, like, kind of ties together, so that's okay. Like, you can do Last Stand or something like that, or you can do coup de grace. It's all fine. Free boots. Why free boots over something else? Because you need to get the Titanic Hydra first. The components are not carrying your early game, but Titanic Hydra itself does. Now, again, that's talking about consistently. I will consistently put every dollar towards Titanic Hydra. And then Cosmic Insight, more smites, but also more flashes, more consistent opportunities that you have on the enemy team, and then double adaptive scaling health. Again, you don't need to do anything other than take these 3 rune shards. Scaling health, best for Briar, because when you jungle, you get level 4 for free. So, you know, the health shard is only 25 more HP, which likely won't be the difference in a jungle fight, because a lot of that's like, you know, laner prio, and did you take a correct fight or not. And then double adaptive, you're already getting 6 autos the moment that you have Q, so you're good. So everything makes sense consistently, but let's talk about the build path, and we're going to get more into that. The biggest thing that people do wrong with Titanic is they don't understand how to build it even. You guys are so crazy about it. Tiamat gives you 160 damage roughly on a standing target, WQ, 6 autos, and then let all of the damage roll off with W2. Okay? 160. Now that's pretty big. That actually matters. This guy started blue and he's pathing down, by the way. And then you have Tunneler, something that gives you 250 health. In an early game fight, that's like, that is a ton of health. That matters a lot. And then Giant Spell is 350 health, but again, doesn't give AD, and AD matters to a point. Like, you need to get a certain amount for it to matter. So the main 2 things that you're working towards are Tunneler or Tiamat. Tiamat in a time that you're trying to farm more and get a little bit more value out of your damage, and Tunneler in a game where you're going to skirmish more. So right now, Pantheon, Draven, right? These are 2 people that are going to facilitate the map in a way that means this game will be a better Tunneler game. So if I AFK by Tiamat, I might just mess around and troll. Now, I need to run away from this, so I'm going to go here. Okay, I'll take that, and we're actually just going to run away. Now, what's the idea with that, right? Enemy bot lane is walking towards me. He flashed out flash. Oh, nice. That's huge. Sorry, I was yapping, but as you can see, enemy Pantheon decided to get rolled. Does he have the Q, though? I'm going to get his wave for him. Can we put this under for my boy? Trust me, bro. Trust me, I'm a scientist, bro. You need to understand that this actually sets his wave up better. His AoE is going to get that wave a lot better. Playing for the dive could be okay, but I'm not going to. So, yeah, so Tiamat and Tunneler, that's the idea here. And if you can master just that, then you're able to work with your recall amounts better. Now, right here, I see that I'm... Oh, yeah. That's the guy that pinged me off, by the way. Oh my god, she got to level up. What a guy. Either way, so your gold amounts do matter, right? If I have 1,500 gold, what would I buy, right? 1,500 specifically. Now, you're probably doing the calculation, and the calculation would be Tunneler plus Longsword. But that doesn't leave you a Tiamat route, right? Because Tiamat would be 1200 here, and then you have 300. Well, you can't buy anything else like that. So it's very good to know your recall amounts, because what would you buy at 1450 gold? Right? Oh, well, if you get one of these, you can't get the other thing. No. Triple longsword, ruby crystal. Now, this is one of my favorite recalls. This is Tiamat plus ruby crystal. Now, this bypasses the idea of what Tunneler tries to do. This is the middle ground, where now I have the extra 160 damage, but I also have the tankiness that we would need. So this, if you can get this 1600 gold recall, then this is better than any other Tunneler thing. Like Tunneler plus longsword only spends 1500. Tunneler plus ruby crystal spends 1550. This spends 1600. And now you see there's so many different routes for what you actually are going to buy when you're building Titanic. And they're all trying to consistently keep you strong. Now the next big thing to talk about consistency is actually your farm. This build is a tankier build. If you are not a damage threat with a tankier build, you will fall off 100%. Okay? So you need to stay very farmed, and you need to minimize deaths. If you are dying on this build, I promise you, you will not like Titanic at all. You will hate it, because you're falling behind. You have good early game, but you need to realize that this build needs items, because it scales off of health. So you need to be buying health items to deal more damage, and you need to be farming to do that, because all the bruiser items cost so much money. So there's a lot to it. By the way, free dragon. And all I did here were right 2 consistent full clears. And then, what did I do? Right to the neutral. We had prio on the neutral, as you can see. That was it. There's nothing too crazy here. Now, Pantheon might try and invade my top side here. Not too mad at that, right? We would definitely win the fight if he's not level 6. And like ulting on us with his teammate. He's going to immediately W, so I'm going to put him into the wall. We're just going to shoot R into that. He's going to E, and then we'll have our Galio follow up here. If he Qs me next, I think I die. But if he doesn't have anything and I get this Q, I think I win. My W2 actually timed out. Nice. Good. Consistency. Right? I consistently play my fights very well. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, that was just basic jungle tracking, right? Where we were able to live in that situation because of our recall, by the way. Like, I needed every bit of health, right? My damage also mattered because I threatened Pantheon in the 1v1. You can see the potency of this 1600 gold recall. Now, I'm not going to say that I would have lost had I had anything else, because I cannot say that. Like, I don't know that. But I can assume that if anything else wasn't on my side there, that easily could have went their way, right? Because I was near Pantheon execute range, and because of that, like, every little bit of health did matter. And sure, more health would have been cool to keep me alive there, but also my damage mattered to pressure the Pantheon in the first place. Now this guy's going to path down, so I'm going to start the grubs here. One of the most consistent win cons in League of Legends. Oh my god. Do you see enemy team pivoting both solo laners immediate down for that? I'm going to leave. And I actually swept. I'm not on vision. That was just random. They just had a gut feeling. But yeah, so what was I talking about? Either way, point is Titanic, right? So if you can get this first item, you'll do really well. And your first recalls matter a ton. Again, Tiamat for farming and more single target damage. Tunneler for more fighting. Briar's early game will come with a lot of early game fights. It's what she's good at. So more times than not, you'll probably find yourself buying Tunneler. But what's important about my gold right now is that I'm almost at 1700, which will put me on Titanic. Now, like I said, we take a full setup that lets me get Titanic as soon as possible. So once I can get Titanic, I'm recalling, right? So I'm not trying to fight right now. And that has to sync up with everything else you do. So right here, I'm literally pinging this away and I'm running. Now if I have a full team rotation that makes this free, I'll do it. They're going to W me and do all that. I think I'm going to get Pantheon ulted here. This should be a free team fight win for us, so that's good. Oh my god, Demon Jasper just flew back in. And even then, look at that, bro. Sometimes even the streamer will say the right thing to do and then still not do it, right? So I said it, right? I said, I need to not do this. I need to go get my Titanic. And then I send it because I'm like, oh, I have man advantage. But then actually I didn't. Now the end result of this seems kind of even. Because, right, they lost a lot of summoner spells. Their team's pulling players, man. Ain't nothing to say. I do need to go get my grubs right now since he's still bot side. But, you know, me greeding that level up. And when you clear grubs, there's a lot of time where you're like, you don't want to go to your Krugs after grubs because it's just kind of out of the way. So I take that one camp, then come here, then I feel pretty good. So, one mistake. Again, don't do that, right? I'm a yapping little streamer, and even I still do. Thank you for the follow, bro. I'm not even streaming right now, so that's a real one. So yeah, back to consistency. Don't mess up like I just did. Human mistakes. They're okay. But what do you do the moment that you die? What is the most consistent play to make the moment that you die? Full clear. You need to get that money back in your pocket. And that's the biggest thing that I see lower elo players do wrong, is that they make a bad play and then they're so eager to get back into the game or to put the game state back in their favor. No, get paid, then do that. Now, as you can see, right, I'm not taking a lot of early ganks with this build. I'm purely scaling up. But the thing is, I'm scaling, but I'm still good early game. I'm on the base that is Briar early game. Their Malphite is a demon, and he gets away with that. I just missed ult. Ayo. I think I can smite her for the slow. I don't think I catch unless I get W. She's likely going to Q me. Smite for the slow. She is Q, then I don't get this. Nice. Her Q is coming out. Let's see if we can get this ward here. Nice, you got that. Now this is slightly risky for a dragon because their team is actually recalling, and if Pantheon Draven find me here on this dragon, then I would likely die. Is he alive? Nice, good job. But it seems like Pantheon's going to path up here. Never mind, he's going to send it and try. He most likely looks for a Q over the wall, so I'm going to start pulling this. See, like, look at this guy. He is not a consistency player. Talk to me about what he just did. He flashed over the wall blind to try and steal a dragon. Is that very consistent? How consistently will that work? It won't. So, we've already talked about the build path. The build path does matter, and you need to understand that that is very important, right? And now you kind of can look more at the fighting side of this, where, you know, you do always want to be proccing PTA as soon as you can. So W auto Q, right? So W auto means that I'm Wing and letting Briar, hands off keyboard, letting Briar auto. Then I do my next thing, like a rhythm game, like you're playing piano, right? One step, then the other. So W, let Briar auto. Q, because it's auto tech reset, let Briar auto. Titanic, let Briar auto. W2, right? This build is all about your auto tech resets. Now, I've already made a video directly addressing this in particular. Feel free to watch it. It's a little older, but it's the exact same thing that I'm saying right now. This is where all of the potency of this build is. This build plays for, I mean, I'm going to get tired of saying it, but you need to hear it. You really do. Plays for consistency. I need to be consistent in what I do. So I need to be farming consistently. I need to be making consistent plays. I don't have to go out of my way to make super huge plays on this build, because I will always have a great amount of damage, a comparable amount of damage. I can do the damage very fast, or I can go longer fights, and I can always frontline for my team with this build. And if you get ahead on this build, well, being a health stacking bruiser well ahead, that's one of the strongest classes in the game. So not risking is the key, right? Because I'm already going to be disgusting OP. So, okay, so I know I had a few things I wanted to talk about. It was, you know, just your gameplay will decide what your build will decide your gameplay is an easy way, but it's also vice versa. Where, you know, because I'm on this scaling more type build, I can just kind of take more time and be very specific with the approaches that I choose. Right now, I don't really have to do too much. I can just let Briar do her thing. I can look for a big play if I need it. Go to W, Q, and then I'm going to let this run. Malphite ulted him. We might not be able to kill her. Especially if my boy leaves. I think I can live this, though. Nice. Roar TP'd in. I really don't know how Poppy died. I think Poppy's death was the problem. But again, for you to be farming well, you need to be alive. So really try and look at the player count. And if you actually think that you win the fight, you don't have to fight just because there is a fight. That's the key. One of the main things about this build is definitely trying to angle your Titanic. So a lot of what you're going to be seeing is me trying to put myself to hit a target. And then the other thing that I want to damage is behind that target. So that is the tried and true nature of this build. Is you need to be doing this. And again, a lot of what makes Titanic feel bad is actually just bad player gameplay, because if you do not farm, you will fall off, and that's going to really make you feel like you do 0 damage. But as you can see, right, I'm ahead of Pantheon right now. I will always do damage to him. I'm up farm, I'm up everything. And that makes it so easy to be kind of degenerate or strong in this game, because I'm ahead. But I get ahead through just doing the bare minimum, actually. I'm going to look for an ult in. I let my team start this fight, and then I go crazy. That's like the main way to get really easy ults to be useful with. I do want to make a hero play here. I think I can do it. Briar autoed the wrong target, but I do get one, maybe. If Briar W2'd the Pantheon, we would have won that. That was inconsistent, if you will. Now, I don't know how consistent Briar autos the wrong target in that situation. That one seemed pretty close, but... one of the things that a lot of lower elo or doomer Briar players, I like to say, players do is they blame Briar for their timing. I can wait a second on my W2 to make sure that I'm hitting the right target before I click it. But obviously, you want to get the W2 on cooldown because you're trying to... make sure that it is, healing you, getting used before you die, right? And, sometimes you can take that extra second and make sure that you're going to hit the right target. And a lot of people just send W2 and then blame Briar when it's not her fault. User error, if you will. Enemy team just sent the Rift Herald on a full health turret, so that's not very good of them. I will happily take that. They definitely could have made a play on that. But I did die, so I'm ensured some farm. It doesn't always have to be a full clear the later into the game, but it does have to be some clear. This is really good. I'm actually going to ult the Draven here too. Right, if you started out with a winning fight, or no, but a better way to explain it is, when you are ahead in a fight, Briar ult becomes a different spell. Briar ult always means I win the 1v1. Okay? If I'm shooting Briar ult, it's in a time that I'm shooting at someone that I know I kill, right? So Briar ult can likely mean I win the 1v1. So, if you kill someone at the start of a fight, it's 5v4. That means that I ult, I win the 1v1. That means it's a 5v3 by my ult hitting. More times than not, your team will not leave you behind if you're ulting after you guys already got a pick. So you don't have to be so upfront about your ult angles on this build. It can do it, but right, you're not one-tapping carries as easily on this build compared to like crit or lethality, of course, right? They're made to do that job a little bit better. But if you play standard, which is front to back, right? You'll find that a lot of times just, securing a good situation and then making it a little bit better is better than a blowout play. And that's consistency. that's my point. So that's why this build is called standard. This build, I call it standard. These runes, I call this standard. Because this is when you're just going to play standard. There's nothing that this build can't do that other junglers can't do. I don't think I said that correctly. If you play any other champion and you play this build of Briar, you might be able to have a chance compared to if you played any other Briar build on Earth and you tried to play like a regular jungler, it wouldn't work out. Briar builds, again, they can often decide the playstyle, and this one in particular can play like other people, and that's why people like Diamond Prox, if you know who that is, he's one of the goats of EU League of Legends. That's why he can play Briar and high elo, even though he's not a Briar one trick, because he plays a standard bruiser game on Briar, which is, you know, what his skill is. By the way, get demolished. Go for Malphite here. That's a free kill. And again, I just did it. I did it again, right? I killed one and then I ult. Pretty standard. And one of the biggest things that I want you guys to understand is that your playstyle does often decide what your team does. And you might not agree with that, but let me tell you, man, it does. And so if I play like a heavy farm strategy that takes very confirmed fights that are, you know, confirmed as in like I'm always counting players and I make sure that these fights are even numbers, right? If I have a specific Briar build, something like crit, you know, I'm completely baiting my team, letting them start a fight, and then I look for a big angle. There's also the flip side where if I'm like lethality, I'm trying to solo put myself in a position to get one kill, and when I get that one kill, then my team has a better chance in the fight, right? Because I killed their most important player on their team. Well, that means that I'm playing differently, and that means that my team has different options. So your gameplay does actually take part in what enemy or in what your team does. So if you utilize that information, you can tell that this build, playing standard and just doing regular, good, generic bruiser things, can be very good. And like right here, right? My team just sent it and through. Now, sure, maybe if I wasn't yapping, I could have backpinged, but I'm just making a very generic play here where I recalled, I got some money on top side, saw a turret being left alone, and I walked to it. And if my team dies, happens. It's okay. So yeah, hopefully all this is tying together. Again, this is the gold standard of Briar gameplay, because it is also just good gameplay in general. And that's awesome. It is awesome to have this in your back pocket. Because, one, it stops making you as much of a one-trick, because, you know, there's one thing in League, like, one-tricks aren't able to play other champions, and that can sometimes, like, hinder your skill as a player, right? Because you only see the game through the eyes of Briar and not through the eyes of a jungler, or whatever role you play. Most farm the game, by the way. That can sometimes hinder you, but when you play standard, you can just do this on anyone. I can do this on Xin Zhao. That's why I say play Xin Zhao. He's simple enough that you can understand what to do. And if you play this build of Titanic, you know exactly how to play in most situations. That's a really insane burst. I don't even have to do anything. Look for a snipe here. Oh, you're confirmed dead. Give me the fear. Give me the W2. Right here, I can't really do too much other than pray for a good angle of Titanic. This game didn't have... I mean, they're going to FF after that. This game hasn't had enough good times of explaining like how to set up your Titanic, because you aren't always able to ensure such a specific scenario that like the person that you're trying to kill is also someone's body blocking, because people will end up doing that. You know, trying to body block Briar's autos, of course. But you know, you probably already know it's there. I have a short about it. My mouse died. I'm gonna just recall. I have a short about it that's like 40 seconds explaining like how I try and think of Titanic in team fights, or like some situations that I bring up to bring it alive. And I'll put it in the description if I remember. If not, put a comment. Is what it is, man. I'm a professional. Not that much of a professional. Right here, again, all this build builds is Titanic Black Cleaver, like every other build, right? You have your 2-item core, and then the rest is situational. So right here, right, I've been bursted 2 times, in times that if I got one more hit, it was likely the difference of winning and losing that fight. Or like, instead of losing, carrying the fight, I think is a better way to put it. So I'm building Sundered Sky. Overlord's Bloodmail does some of the most insane bruiser damage in the game, so this is kind of the icing on top once you can actually play. If I needed Sterix gives tenacity for stuns, taunts, polymorphs, everything like that. Right now they don't have any CC really at all that's hitting me, so I don't need Sterix. Overlords will be next because, right, I need Sundered Sky to make those plays that are close, not close. And then you always have Guardian Angel, one of the goats of late game items. So we do have Dragon Soul, so let's go ahead and start forcing Baron here. I'm kind of over-greeding, and I should be there to accelerate the map, right? A good jungler is always accelerating the map for his team. But you know me, I'm a little greedy. There's no way enemy team is serious about this. Once we collapse, we're good, right? I'm counting players, though, right? We only have 3. We have Twitch. Once he goes invis, we'll have 4. And then Galio would be 5. Nice. Trying to bait them to look at me. Now we're going to step up. They might step up on Galio here. If I see my AD carry go invis, it might look like he's going to send it. We can start looking here. Aurora has a good engage here. Looks like they're going that way, so I'm just going to try and ult past the Malphite, because I don't want to get body blocked here. Nice. We can go here, probably. There's a world that we could end 5v3. There's an even better world that we just do Baron here and have no risk of messing this up. So we're going to do exactly that. And again, this build is one of the best at starting fights with just WQ and then ulting someone else because, if you WQ, they're stunned, and then you can look for a separate angle to hit someone else. And if you hit their frontliner again, that means that you win the 1v1, so it's not even like too crazy. Sure, it would take forever to kill Malphite, but if their frontline is hitting me and these 4 have to be in front of Galio, Galio's going to CC, my team is going to blast them into non-existence, so it's no big deal. Now, the main thing to do, the moment that you can start bleeding enemy jungler, that means taking his camps when your team has priority on the map. So as we are hitting their turrets and we're on their side, taking their camps is very, very important because they're worth double, right? That's gold he does not get and gold you do get. So that's priority number 1, or you do that on the way out. Either one is fine. Now we're going to get this inhib, and now we're going to make sure we ping away here because, again, they have numbers advantage right now. If we take any fight, we're trolling. So now we're going to take this recall, and what are we going to do? We're going to go to the opposite side of that pressure that we just made. So instead of going to mid here, we're going to go to bot. Now, you would always go to the side of the next neutral that's spawning, so luckily that does sync up with Elder anyway. But even if you took bot inhib right now, then you'd stay mid lane here. You want to always be closest to the neutral, because if they're not, then you're letting them set up random wards, and you never know what one ward can be the difference in. So if you stay on this side, you completely deny them any chance to get a sneaky ward and somehow pull off that crazy Elder steal or something. He likely walks to the choke here, and if he doesn't, he still gets hit, so that's good. Hop behind him, you know the drill. Regular stuff here. Do this for the vision. Hopefully they can see it. W flash Q auto W2. Smite to slow him down, hopefully you can get to him, make sure that it dies, and that should be GG. And again, this is like, the way I explain it is like when you play like Bork or something like that, like there's sometimes variance in what you can and can't do because Bork needs 1v1s, and if the enemy team like genuinely doesn't give you a lot of opportunities, or if you don't see the opportunities when you have them, you might not be able to get these good situations as often. Which is why I say Bork is better in low elo compared to Titanic and high elo, because Titanic, as you can see, works very well with consistency, and Bork works very well with random fights because you're going to win 1v1s. So yeah, that's like kind of the way I see it. Where like this is why it's a staple for you to know how to do, because like when you're lower elos and you start cranking Bork by Cleaver, Crack, and whatever, you're going to skyrocket in rank. But this is what your top end high rank will look like. That's why like most high elo Briars play Titanic. It's because this is the way to play without a lot of variance in what you do. You can play very consistent basics like this. And yeah, it's an important skill to have. So like right now, we're going to look at all the Briar OTPs. Don't look at Logan Jungle being 1 and 3. Don't look at that. But all the Briar OTPs, right? Look at how many of them play Titanic. It's proven to be one of the most consistent strategies. And that's the cool thing. It's like some people are just good enough to make it work with other items. And I don't even think it's like fair to say that other items are worse. Just this is a very consistent thing. And that's it. And some people are so good at what they do and they can, you know, get any team to make other mistakes. And that's their consistency. I'm not saying that they don't have consistency. I'm saying that this is the easiest way to have consistency. So, hopefully you understood this. Again, I really wasn't able to highlight like lining up Titanic. So I think I just play my own video to you guys and kind of talk about it in real time. I think that's like the best way for you guys to see my opinion on it. So let's look at my shorts real quick. Not the ones I'm wearing. Yeah, here we go. Stay with me. It's very important. Stay with me here. How to use Titanic Hydra. Okay, I'm even going to turn off the music. So, the idea here is that in a similar situation, right? Now, go little Logan. You have a low health target, and you have the target that you've ulted. Okay, so I've ulted. Hits a carry. They are dead. Right? So the moment that Briar ult hits someone, they're dead. So ult means I win 1v1. So stop looking at the carry right here, right? Never look at Tristana again. You see a low health target that is their LeBlanc. Just try and angle your W2. Activate your Titanic and W2 to kill the LeBlanc with low health. Now the idea is that I'm using W2 to do a ton of damage, right? I want my W2 to do a lot of damage. If I know that my next auto can, you know, if she's in range for Titanic to hit her. So I activate W2 and Titanic. It doesn't matter the timing because they're both going to proc on your next auto attack, right? And my next auto attack on Trist will send the zone out that is Titanic, and that's going to hit her. And I want to hit her for the most damage. Now, you can separate them if you want to hit her for 3 separate iterations of damage, but what if you don't know that you're going to get 3 autos? You want to play for one big one. There you go. Realize how much damage Titanic actually does. So I'm just going to flash this W2 onto him, and you'll see right here, get knocked back. Persona. And right here. Boom. Does LeBlanc die? Well, of course she does. Boom. Right? Just like nothing. And again, your R is still on Tristana. That's another free kill. So, exactly that. Yeah, so W Titanic Glazeman. Let me go back to regular Logan. Let's check these numbers real quick. Again, I don't even need to be the highlight, right? I don't need to do the most damage. I need to do damage that matters. If I farm 80k damage in a lane but never got a kill, that 80k didn't matter. But all my damage was damage that mattered. I made 2 bad mistakes, right? And we talked about them already. Up 5,000 in jungle. I took most damage on my team. This guy took more damage because he has 10 deaths. I have 40k damage taken with 2 deaths. So definitely not the same. And then runes. Again, the standard page. Bringing some standard numbers. And the cool thing is like, again, coup de grace would have been better in hindsight here, but like you can't say that you're going to snowball and never need last stand. So the way I see last stand sometimes is like, cool, last stand's not doing damage, I'm winning LP. And in a situation that the game is close, last stand's doing a lot, it's cool. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you understand Titanic more, and it's an awesome strategy for you to have as a Briar player, so please enjoy. Thank you so much. Hopefully you did enjoy. Don't enjoy, well, enjoy whatever you're doing after you watch this. Have a good one. Thank you so much. Peace.